Our next session is a really exciting one. I know it's one that we've all been anticipating, which is celebrating the achievements of adults with Kabuki syndrome. So I have the pleasure of introducing Michele Westmaas. She's the mom to Aubrie, who is one of our panelists, and Michele will be moderating our session. She's been an advocate for many years, and she currently coordinates a community college program for young adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. She is dedicated to empowering Aubrie to live her best life and to helping others do the same. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do come on now, Michele, and you can moderate the next session.
Hi there. Thank you for introducing me. You know, just after listening to the small amount I've been able to pay attention to today, I hope that all of us participating are just bursting with hope and possibilities and pride in this community that we belong to. So, you know, it's an honor to be here, to be able to moderate this panel of young people. As you know, I'm mom to Aubrie, who's 23. Her original diagnosis was CHARGE syndrome. And, you know, we were involved with the CHARGE Syndrome Foundation. We went to all the conferences. I was connected with the CHARGE syndrome worldwide family, the same as we are now with our Kabuki family. And that connection is what allowed me to survive Aubrie's early years and bring her to the place that she is now. You know, we had those early years of medical issues and surgeries and therapies and all of the things that make life so challenging for us as parents, and certainly challenging for our children. You know, we need to remember they're the ones living it as much as we are the ones navigating it with them. So when Aubrie was 10, we determined that she really had Kabuki syndrome, not CHARGE after all. And it was surprising and kind of unsettling to have a change of label. And I think many of us, from my experience talking with families, we struggle with labels and all of the different diagnoses that are put on our children. Like everyone here, Aubrie's medical file could fill probably its own storage room, you know? But we're going to discover with this panel that our children are way more than their labels. And while the researchers are working tirelessly to find ways to treat some of the challenges that these young people face living with Kabuki syndrome, in the meantime, these folks are going on to have amazing lives. I remember when Aubrie was born, she was in the intensive care. She had heart surgery at 8 days old. We didn't know if she would see or hear or eat or walk or talk. When she was a few years old, my greatest aspiration was that she would please ambulate some way into kindergarten. Like, can you please just crawl into the school building somehow? I don't want to carry you. I want you to get in there yourself. Will you be able to share snack time with your classmates? Just somehow share that time with them, even if we have to do tube feedings at home. Will she have a way to communicate her needs and what she's learned, even if it's sign language? I don't care if she doesn't talk, but can she somehow communicate what she needs to people? And, you know, I worried and worried, and yet by kindergarten, she was walking, running, talking, eating, and smart as a whip, moving into kindergarten. I was blessed to know specialists, just as we are surrounded by these great folks here, people that helped me know that there were possibilities for Aubrie's future. And I was armed with determination and support so that I could go to her school meetings and doctor's appointments with determination for her future. So, you know, let's go to Aubrie, 3 years old in America is when we start the school system. Here I am, the parent with a 15-page typed parent input report. So I have been that mom since day one, right? And you know, we went into that meeting and from the beginning said, every opportunity needs to stay open to her. We want her to be able to go to college if she wants to and if she can. We don't know yet, but it needs to be a possibility. So we will not allow any door to close behind her. And, you know, I pushed for possibilities, I dreamed for possibilities, but in the back of my head, I had a whole lot of fears, holding on to a lot of fears. What if the things I hoped for really weren't possible? What if I was setting us all up for failure? What if I was preparing her for frustration? And then I met a young woman with the same syndrome. At that time, I thought she had charge, but this young woman had the same list of labels that Aubrie had, right? Syndromes are on the spectrum where no one is exactly the same, and it makes it difficult to know what the future might be. But I met a gal, on paper looked exactly like Aubrie. They were twins, 13 years removed. And at a conference, I got to sit with Patty. And I'm sitting beside her, and I could look at her and think, oh my gosh, if this is what it will be like 13 years from now, it's okay. This is okay. There really are possibilities for us. And we learned a lot from knowing Patty and from knowing other adults further down the road from Aubrie. So I hope, I just hope that this panel gives everyone listening permission to believe in the future and to believe in the possibilities. I hope that everyone listening finds someone in the panel whose story resonates, that you recognize that might be similar to your child or the person that you love and care about with Kabuki. I want you to remember, before I introduce them, these folks are amazing and capable. But remember that when they were babies, they were like my Aubrie, a little medical bundle of medical issues, a little like I didn't, and her future was scary. I didn't know what it meant to live with Kabuki syndrome. So I think that now we have a chance to meet some amazing young people who are going to share with us what it means to live with Kabuki syndrome and how it might turn out. And if you're the scared mom at home or the scared dad or the grandparent, you're going to be surprised and delighted to see what the future might look like. We're going to start with a video so that you can get a little glimpse into their lives before we meet them individually. But I want to tell you their names. Jenny and Aaron are from the UK. Jenny is 29, Aaron is 31. The rest are from the US. Kristin is 36, Elise is 26, Shannon is 28, Aubrie is 23, Cam is 21, and Cara is 24. So we'll start with the video and then we'll take questions and speak with these young folks.
For fun, I love to read. My favourite authors are Sophie Kinsella and Jenny Colgan.
I love playing with my little baby kittens and singing and going to the gym.
My basketball. So for us, I have a basketball hoop in my front yard, so I can go out anytime that's just practice shooting in all different directions and lengths and positions. This is a soccer ball, which I might be obsessed with more than basketball, but both of them are my favorite.
Are you good at bowling?
I am, actually.
Wow. So why don't you tell us what your average is?
I believe my average at that time, it was 210.
I'm currently working for part of the National Health Service in England called NHS England and Improvement. My job is around improving health and care for autistic people.
For work, I am a freelance drama practitioner and recently led drama workshops for children and young people with Kabuki and their siblings for Kabuki UK charity over Zoom.
I'm a junior at TCNJ from Voorhees, New Jersey. At TCNJ, I am in the Career and Community Studies program. The Career and Community Study program is a program that for people with disabilities like myself, and it helps them get through college.
having Kabuki syndrome to me means that I look differently at the moon than my friends, instructors that may be teaching me.
It means that I am a unique individual, and it makes me feel proud and happy to be one in 32,000. It also means that my eyelashes are often commented on, as they are very long.
For me, it means I'm a kind-hearted person, and although I might have some struggles, I am persistent and will stick with the task until it is completed. Kabuki has made me less focused on what I cannot do and more focused on the things that I am able to accomplish or kind of overcoming my obstacles.
I don't think about the label Kabuki Syndrome a lot. I do see differences in myself from other people, but I work hard to accept those differences and overcome challenges.
The challenges I have mainly faced throughout my life have been kneecaps dislocating, which first happened during a dance class at 13 years old. I have had 6 knee operations on my left and 1 on my right. In July 2021, I have been discharged from my Glasgow clinic and told to not let my knees rule my life. One opportunity I have had was to carry the Olympic torch for London 2012 Olympic Games. My mom nominated me to carry it because of all the volunteering work I had done and also because of my very rare syndrome.
One of the challenges for me right now is memorizing dances. Modal planning is the most difficult piece because of modal planning and visual. I am not always able to get everything as well as it should be.
My challenges are learning on how and paying for how to get to work since I do not drive. My opportunities are the same as everyone else. I can do whatever I set my mind to.
My way of advice to you is if your child has an interest in anything that he or she wants to do, let them do it and don't hold it back.
That their kids are incredibly resilient, and even though they might have this diagnosis, their kids could amaze them with what they are capable of. My parents always worked with me through school, and with their help I managed to make decent grades. It's super important for them to help their kids realize when they need a break from something.
What I want Kabuki parents to know is to find schools, the right schools and programs that to help for their child to be successful. The information needs to be presented in a way that your kid can learn it.
I want parents to know that you're doing the right thing. Because so many times you have so many therapies and so many doctor appointments, and they're all telling you different things. And what you're doing is right. Outsiders and people that you connect with, like friends and such, just have to understand really that you're living life as much as you can and doing what's right for your child and your family at the same time.
That each of us are unique and some will present with many challenges. It's a journey, and if there are bumps along the way, ride through them the best way you can. Count each step that your child manages to achieve, and don't worry if they aren't hitting milestones at the same time as peers.
I would say to not let your physical ability stop you from doing something that you want to do. if you're interested in pursuing something, stick with it.
Just live life as much as you can and have as much fun as you can, because life is only for so long, even though we may have various challenges, and people may not always accept who we are within the community, then just be ourselves.
You are still human, even though you have Kabuki Syndrome, and never ever stop believing that. We all have the same feelings as everyone else, and never ever let anyone tell you that you are different, because we are extra special. My superpower would be my ability to care for everyone, and my ability and passion to always see good in everyone, and also my ability to help people with a learning disability and autism, or both, use their voice.
I think my superpower is my perseverance. But what do you think, baby girl? What do you think my superpower is? She seems to think that my superpower is my singing, because it makes me joy, brings me joy, and brings me happiness. So I won't give up. No, I won't break down. Sooner than it seems like turns around.
For me, I have many superpowers. I'm kind of known for my memory in my family. Once I do things multiple times, even though it might take me some time to learn it, once I figure it out, it becomes mine and I don't forget it. And I have the amazing ability to form connections easily. I feel like I am also a mentor for the children and youth that I work with, which is incredibly important to me. I also realize what an impact I'm having on people, because one of the youth who had graduated from high school that year sent me his senior picture, and the note said, "Thank you for being such a positive impact on me. I just hope in the future I can inspire someone as much as you have inspired me."
My superpower would be my confidence that I have developed through attending drama classes from a young age, singing in front of audiences, going away with brownies and guides. All of these things have helped my confidence grow.
There we go. It's time for all of our panelists to turn on their cameras and join us. Hello there, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. I think we've got everybody. Let's, I've got a list of questions here. So I'm going to throw it out. And like we said before, raise your hand if you have an answer. And remember, we only have 10 minutes, so we need to answer as many questions as we can before we run out of time. One important question that several people have asked is, what would be your advice to the small group of people who have nonverbal, severely disabled older children? Do you have some advice to share with those folks? Aubrie?
Never really feel disappointed that a child may be nonverbal, because you know child's voice, and you always have it. And until they find it, you have to be proud of that young point of them.
Thank you, Aubrie. And Kristin, I see your hand is up as well.
Yes, I would also suggest finding other means of communication, whether it be sign language or just some other way that you can communicate with them to figure out what they want, as well as how they can communicate with you to tell you what they want or need.
Good point. And Erin, I see your hand up also.
Yes, I would suggest things like being patient, always be patient, and also I would like to raise the importance of advocating for people's needs when it comes to help appointments. Make sure you always try and get the best help for your child or young person, and never ever give up.
Thank you, Erin. I think, it's good for us parents to remember that we are our children's voice, but we need to keep advocating and empowering them the best we can, regardless of where our students or our young people. That question? Okay, the next question, there's two that sort of go together. Where do you see yourself in the future? And what was it like for you when you graduated high school and moved on to the next part of your life? So can you talk a little bit about that transition from school to adulthood and what you hope for your future? Cara?
I think the transition from high school to adulthood was a little bit challenging in some ways. Adulthood, you're offered more responsibility and you need to be more independent, do more things on your own. It's different in high school when you have different sort of accommodations in high school, and then you have to sort of educate the teachers in college about what your needs are. And where I see myself in the future, I'm not 100% sure. I think working with children, maybe in a daycare setting.
Yeah, it is hard moving to adulthood, that's for sure. Aubrie?
I think moving to adulthood to me was kind of easy because we had a plan. And it was a pretty decent plan. It was near me in Illinois. We have a school for the visually impaired a half an hour from where we live, and they have a transitional living program until you're 21. So I just was put in that program from the time that I had graduated high school. And I see myself somewhere in the future doing musicals, doing all sorts of performing, and hopefully living in New York City.
Thank you, Aubrie. And Cam?
Yeah, transitioning into adulthood for me was it took me a little bit of time. When I graduated high school, I went to college, and it took me a while to figure out how to, kind of like live independently and like stuff like that. And then also, I don't know where I would see myself in the future. I really like sports, and I hope to become a sports broadcaster one day, maybe on like ESPN or something.
I think a lot of you, from what I've gathered, we have a lot of Kabuki young people who aspire to entertain, perform, or be in the spotlight in one way or another. Jenny?
For me, the transition from school to college, well, because I had to move away for part of my college years, that was quite challenging, being away from home. But and where I think I'd like to be in the future is I'd love to be able to, as a drama teacher already, I'd love to be able to help more Kabuki kids and teach drama to them worldwide, hopefully. So yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about, you said it was really hard when you went away to college. What was that like? Can you give us a little bit of more information about how that worked out? What were the challenges and how did you work with it? How did you become successful with that?
Yeah, I moved an hour away from home to go to college because the course I wanted to do wasn't available locally. So I had to move up to the college in Edinburgh. And I found halls was an experience that I'd rather not repeat. It was quite noisy and just halls weren't for me. But yes, yeah.
So halls is like what we call dorms, right? Staying in a dormitory with a bunch of people.
But ours were just single rooms, so we didn't. But we had like flats that we lived in.
Okay.
So there were about 6 of us in a flat. So yeah.
So a lot of people, a lot of noise.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And Shannon?
I feel like transitioning from high school to college was a lot easier for me because I feel like when I was in high school, a lot of people treated me differently. A lot of people treated me like I was nothing to them, and like I didn't really have that many friends because I looked different, I acted different. Not many people really wanted to like be around me or any of that. And then when I went to college, not many people really knew about me, or not many people really like knew anything about me. So I learned to get new friends. I learned new things, and I was happy.
Mm-hmm. That's a great perspective to share. I think with the young people that I work with at college, one of the things I've noticed that is different is in high school and in regular K through 12, you have to do everything, right? You have to do every subject, you have to succeed in everything. Mm-hmm. But then when you get to be an adult, you get to find the thing you do the best or like to do and just work on that, focus on that. And the things you are terrible at, you just don't have to do anymore, because you're in a little bit more control. And you can find where your people are. You don't have to just go to school with everybody. You can find your people and hang out with them. I'm glad that you found that experience for yourself, Shannon. Erin, I think, did you answer this one already?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I couldn't wait to become an adult because my parents, my adopted parents, they all the way through my teens, they kind of babied me, so they thought I couldn't do things on my own.
Mm-hmm.
But now living on my own, I've lived by myself for the past 7 years. I'm working and I'm enjoying life, and in the future I would like to see me become a husband, and also I would also like to become an adopted parent to a child with learning disability and autism.
Yeah, those are big dreams. You all have big dreams. I love hearing that. Kristin, did you have something to add to this?
For me, like directly from high school into college, I did 4 years at community college. And then I feel like I really became kind of myself a little bit more when I transferred schools after I was done with community college, because that was where like Shannon said, that was where I found a lot more of my people. That was where I became a tour guide. I taught freshman seminar. I got involved in so many different clubs. So that was where I managed to make a lot of friends at my 4-year school. And I feel like it also taught me a lot more about becoming a leader, which I didn't have a lot of experience at before.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. And Elise?
I do agree. Just transitioning to adult is very hard. Very challenging for me because so much responsibility I have to do. But at the same time, I understand it's important to do them. Transitioning to college was hard. Even though I live at home, but still talented to go to college from high school because I could the differences. I had to like somehow move over from one to another, which is kind of hard, challenging for me. 5 years from now, I would say I want to go to grad school so I could actually work with athletes.
You want to work with athletes?
Yes.
Aha. Very nice. Very interesting. You guys have so many big ideas. I can't wait to see where you really are 5 years from now. One more question. I think we have just a minute. Janet, do I have time to ask them one more question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, it's difficult for some of us to talk to our children about their diagnosis. Can you tell us about when you learned that you have Kabuki syndrome? And do you have ideas about how parents can talk to their children about their diagnosis? Aubrie, you threw up your hand on that one. What can you tell us?
Technically, I think I learned about Kabuki when you learned about Kabuki. Because I was 10 when I got diagnosed. But I feel like to be open all the time about the diagnosis that like children and young adults have, and then just have conversations about what's the diagnosis is so that they know it from a young age and are able to advocate for whatever they may need.
Thank you, Aubrie. And Kristin?
I was diagnosed at a weekend retreat when I was 12 years old for kids who were born with cleft lips and cleft palates. A doctor there at the retreat saw us and asked if we had ever heard of Kabuki, because there was 100 cases in the world at that point, which we had not heard of it, and we didn't know what I had, but it had been considered a mystery up until that point. And then after that, so I was a little bit on the older side because I was 12. So my parents and I, along with this doctor, talked about it fairly straightforward, and we were pretty honest with like when we learned about it. And it was just good to finally have a diagnosis at that point.
What did having a diagnosis do for you? You said it was good. What was good about that?
Like, I just, because people always send that out with a mystery, and it was like, well, is it always going to be a mystery? So I felt like I finally had some answers when I finally got the diagnosis.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. We've been to doctors with Aubrie when they're like, you know, nobody wants to be a mystery to the specialist, right? Yes. It's good to have some answers and some information. Jenny, what do you have to say?
I was 5 when I was diagnosed, and it was through the Manchester Eye Clinic, and they had a joint consultation and said that they thought that that's what it was, and that's when I was officially diagnosed. And what I would say to people that might be going through a diagnosis is talk openly to your child and just say that they're very rare and unique, but it's good to be different. That's what I would say. Yeah, it's good to be different, definitely.
I like that, Jenny. I think another thing that I share with the families and young people I work with is that, you know, it's okay to be who you are, and we do not want to be ashamed of what we have. So I think it's important that families talk to their kids about whatever it is they're dealing with in a way that makes it okay, so that they're not ashamed to walk into a room and say, so I have Kabuki syndrome, here I am. I've got all kinds of great things to share with you, you know. Erin, did you have something to add also?
Yes, I was formally diagnosed in August 1994 at the age of 4 years old. So I was like one of the first cases in Britain. I I kind of started understanding about Kabuki syndrome when I was like 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I'd but one thing I'd like parents on this conference and also other Kabuki adults on this conference to know is that I don't see Kabuki syndrome as a condition. I see it as us being extra special. So I see it as our superpower. So it's really important that parents, when a child or young person's old enough, to sit down with them, explain to them what Kabuki syndrome is, and tell them to be always proud to be you. And whenever people might say bad things to them, just forget it. Just forget about what people say.
Yeah, I like that, Erin. I think, I looked at the clock for train of I think you're right that we need to be proud of it. And I think meeting young adults like you and, you know, someday when we get to have conferences in person again, and there can be hundreds of us together, to be able to walk around and see all of the people who live with Kabuki and all the families with Kabuki in person is one of the best ways I know to feel proud and comfortable with who you are, and to know that you're rare, but you're not alone, right? We have 3 minutes. Folks want to know if you participate in activities that require coordination or attention, like things like swimming, driving. Are there things, you know, there's all these things that we think, will my kid ever do that? You know, can you share with us some of the things you are able to do, or some of the things that you just have settled into, like, okay, that's not going to happen for me, you know? Shannon?
Yes, hi. So I was driving for a little bit. I realized that it wasn't for me because of the coordination and everything. It was just not for me after my first or second accident. I stopped driving. I also did horseback riding for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that needed to have like a lot of coordination, because you always have to like try to tell the horse where to go and everything like that. Another thing that I think does a lot of coordination with it is I do something called diamond gems. And so with diamond gems, you have to like figure out like where the gems go, and you have to like take a needle and try to like put the colors where they go.
Yeah, it's like diamond painting or something, right? They call it.
Yes.
I actually think Renee's daughter, Renee King's daughter, does that as well. And I always wondered how you guys do it, because it takes fine motor and vision, and I can't do it because my old eyes and hands don't do those things anymore. So that's amazing that you guys can figure that one out. Aubrie?
One of the things that I'm able to do is I was able, when I was very young, to do horseback riding.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the things that I find really challenging driving, I'm probably never gonna really be able to drive, because with my visual field, it just will never work. And another thing that is a challenge that we have discovered within the past year is dance. Because I do a online musical theater curriculum, and you have acting week, vocal week, dance week, and then mentorship week. And every dance week, is so challenging to get the positions right in the way that they need to be. But the bad thing about that is when you out of high school, most of the time, you then too old for like special services. So like I guess we could contact like an OT and figure out, okay, now what would help? But now it's kind of a thing of like, okay, I guess this might help. We're just going kind of on a knowledge base of what could help me. So that can be pretty difficult.
Mm-hmm. And Cam, glad to hear from you again.
One thing that I do that's kind of difficult for me that I've tried to overachieve is I do Special Olympics. So I do Special Olympics basketball, Special Olympics soccer, and Special Olympics baseball. And in the beginning, I started at a very young age. I think I started at the age of like 10 or 11, and I'm still doing it now. But in the beginning, it was really hard. But I'm starting to get the handle of it.
Good, good. A little bit of practice goes a long way, doesn't it?
Yep.
Good deal. Kristin?
For me, I've always grown up swimming, and then I also did gymnastics when I was really little. And another thing that I really enjoy doing is I like to make friendship bracelets, and right here's one of the ones that I've actually made, and I absolutely love doing it because it gives me a lot of time to just like kind of use my hands.
Mm-hmm. And you get to give them to people.
Yeah, exactly.
Good deal. Jenny?
For me, I tried horse riding when I was younger, and I also tried dance classes, but a dance class was actually where I first dislocated my kneecap for the first time, so that kind of put me off dancing for then. And I have tried driving, and I was told an automatic car would be best for me, but I've not tried since then. But yeah.
Okay,
so
thanks
yeah.
for sharing. And Erin?
Yes, because I live by myself, I do a lot of home cooking. So I love to cook and I love to bake. I also play learning disability rugby. And I also play football at learning disability level. And I also like to go to the gym, and I walk everywhere.
And Cara, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah. I actually learned how to swim just last year, so it's never too late to learn how to do something. And driving is a tricky situation. I might be able to do it in the future. We need to get that figured out. That's something I'm working on.
So what I think I'm hearing from all of you is that you seem very comfortable with what you can do and with trying things and being okay if it doesn't work out, you know? Elise, did you get to answer that question?
No, I have not.
Would you like to?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm kind of like Cameron because I did Special Olympics as well. I don't do every sport. I just do the sports that I like the most. I just do them. I did, I believe, track and field, basketball, and bowling. I interminated bowling, so I quit bowling for a while. And since then, I was scared to go back. So I'm just not gonna like go back for another 4 years or something. I'm just not gonna deal with this need anymore. When I was younger, I did do dance. When I was, I think, 5, maybe 5. Then when I got a bit older, I did that again. I quit because it got too fast for me.
Right.
As the ballroom dancing was the last thing I always wanted to do. Which is like the best thing ever.
So you did do ballroom dancing?
Yes.
And that was at a better pace, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
All right. You know, that gives us a lot of ideas about things that might be possible and things that might have challenges. And it sounds like it's a little bit different for everybody. We have to tie up and finish up here. I just know as a parent how valuable it is to hear from folks who are further along on the road of Kabuki syndrome, and that for young people with Kabuki syndrome younger than you, it's not just parents, but it's actually the other people who have Kabuki that are delighted to know you and hear from you. And I hope that one day we're in person and get to do this again.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to come on a little early because first of all, you know, I've been involved in a lot of the planning process of the last 2 days. And I have to say that my favorite part of planning this conference has really been meeting all of you. You know, I have just been so inspired by everything, your self-advocacy, your ability to just face adversity without fear, and it's incredibly inspiring. I have one final question for all of you before we wrap. You know, so much of the last 2 days has really been talking about and focusing on the patient really being at the center of our research efforts. And I wanted to ask all of you, is there anything that you would like to see in Kabuki syndrome research? What is important to you? Aaron?
Oh, what I would like to see in Kabuki research, I would like to see adults or people with Kabuki syndrome in jobs actually doing research around Kabuki syndrome, because where the people who are living with Kabuki syndrome, I would also like to see simple like documents for people with Kabuki syndrome to understand what Kabuki syndrome is and to understand other bits about it as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, I would love for you to, I would love to have further conversations with you and with anybody else who is interested in getting more involved. Jenny, I see your hand up as well.
Yeah, I'd love to see more research into knee dislocations and other dislocations, doesn't have to be knees, and also whether maybe IBS might be a part of Kabuki as well. Yeah, some more research into that would be good. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that insight. Kristin?
For me, it's probably just doing like...
Kristin, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you...
Sorry.
Oh,
for me, I think it's probably just participating like in research and like doing what I can to help like the community in general.
Amazing. Cara?
I agree with Jenny on dislocations. Also, I think nausea and anxiety.
Great. Anyone else? Thank you so much, Cara. Anybody else? I just want to make sure. You know, I welcome the opportunity to work with every single one of you. Please continue to stay involved in all of the advocacy efforts. You know, it's imperative that we get people like yourselves involved. You're incredibly inspirational. And again, we truly thank you for joining us at this conference. I know I speak for everybody who's still here, especially the board members, that we are truly inspired by you, and keep doing what you're doing because you're all amazing.